You know what's funny? Breakups feel like the we. If we just got disconnected in the middle of your favorite movie. At first, you just stare at the screen, hoping it will magically reconnect. But no, the connection is gone, and suddenly your mind says, "That's it, my life is over. Nothing will ever be the same again." Sounds familiar? Yeah, we've all been there. The late night overthinking, the playlists full of sad songs, stalking their social media like a detective who deserves an award, and then pretending you're totally fine when someone asks. It's almost like heartbreak comes with its own comedy show, except you're both the clown and the audience. But here's the truthy, a breakup isn't the end of your life. It's the end of a chapter. And the beautiful thing about life is, chapters end so that new ones can begin. Think about it. When you were a kid, losing your favorite toy felt like the end of the world. But later, you moved on, you grew up, and you found new things to love. A breakup works the same way. Right now, it feels like a storm, but storms don't last forever. Let me tell you something powerful. A broken heart is proof that you love deeply. And loving deeply is not weakness. It's strength. It means you had the courage to give a part of yourself to someone else. And if you can love that much once, you can love again. But even better and wiser. The problem is, most people after a breakup start asking, why me? Why did this happen? What was wrong with me? But here's a shift for you. Stop asking why it ended, and start asking, what is this teaching me? Because every heartbreak is a teacher in disguise. It teaches you what you truly value, what you will no longer tolerate, and how strong you really are. Sometimes God, the universe, life, whatever you believe in, removes people from your path, because they were never meant to walk the entire journey with you. They were only a chapter, not the whole book. And listen, healing doesn't mean forgetting them. Healing means remembering without pain. It's when you can think about the past and smile, because you've grown. Healing means you're no longer begging for someone who walked away, but building yourself so strong that the right person will never want to leave. So if you're sitting with a broken heart right now, let me say this, you're not broken. You're just being rebuilt. And sometimes life has to break us apart so we can come back stronger, clearer, and more aligned with who we're meant to be. Acceptance is step one. You know what most people do right after a breakup? They act like professional negotiators with destiny. Maybe they'll call me again. Maybe it's just a fight, not the end. Maybe they'll realize my value one day and come back. It's almost like we write imaginary episodes of a Netflix series in our head where the ex comes running back in slow motion. And the truth, that series never gets released. Because life is not interested in reruns. It wants you to move forward to a new season. The hardest but most powerful step is acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean you're weak or that you didn't love enough. It means you're strong enough to face reality without sugarcoating it. It's saying, yes, this relationship ended. Yes, it hurts. But no, it doesn't define the rest of my life. Think of it like this. When you break a phone screen, you don't sit there staring at the cracks, crying, and hoping it will magically fix itself. You either repair it or get a new one. But you accept that the old one is broken. Relationships are the same. If it's cracked beyond repair, holding on only cuts your hands deeper. Here's something interesting. People think acceptance is the end of love, but actually it's the beginning of healing. When you stop waiting for that message, when you stop reading old chats like they're holy scriptures, when you stop imagining a future with someone who's already walked out, that's when your real future begins. And you know what's funny? The moment you truly accept that it's over, your brain and heart finally get a chance to breathe. You suddenly realize there's life outside this heartbreak. You notice small things again, like the way your coffee tastes better in the morning, or how your favorite song isn't ruined just because they once liked it too. Acceptance is freedom. It's the point where you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start saying, okay, it happened. Now what can I do with my life? That shift is everything. Because the truth is, you cannot heal what you don't accept. You cannot rebuild a house while still pretending the old one isn't on fire. And the longer you resist reality, the longer you delay your own happiness. So yes, the first step, the scariest step, and also the most liberating step, is acceptance. Stop playing the blame game after a breakup. Most of us become detectives, but not the smart Sherlock Holmes type. We become emotional detectives, endlessly searching for who's guilty. We sit there thinking, it's all their fault. They betrayed me. They didn't value me. They ruined everything. And on other nights, we switch sides and think, maybe it was me. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe if I had done this or changed that, they would have stayed. It's like a tennis match in your head. Blame goes left, blame goes right, back and forth until you're mentally exhausted. But here's the truth: blame is a prison. Whether you're blaming them or blaming yourself, you're still stuck in the past. You're still chained to the relationship, even though it's already over. And the more you play this blame game, the more energy you waste on something you cannot change. Think about it. If blaming actually worked, you'd already be healed. If crying over their mistakes or your shortcomings actually fixed your heart, you'd already be free. But it doesn't work like that. Blame only gives you two things: pain and delay. The real question isn't, who ruined it? The real question is, what can I learn from it? Maybe this breakup is teaching you what love should never feel like. Maybe it's teaching you to set stronger boundaries, to recognize red flags earlier, to stop giving your everything to someone who only gave you half. Maybe it's teaching you self-respect in a way comfort never could. Here's the fun part: life will keep repeating lessons until you learn them. So, if you walk away from this breakup without learning, you might just end up in the same situation with a different face, a different name, but the same pain. So instead of pointing fingers outward or inward, point them upward, towards growth. Ask yourself, what did this chapter teach me about myself? How can I use this pain as wisdom? Because the moment you stop blaming, something magical happens. You reclaim your power. You're no longer a victim of your past. You become the author of your future. And that's where the real transformation begins. Feel the pain. Don't fake the smile. You know what's funny. The moment you go through a breakup, people around you suddenly become motivational speakers. Don't cry, Yar. Move on. Just be strong. Forget them. And you sit there thinking, oh really? Wow, why didn't I think of that? Let me just click the forget button on my heart and move on like a robot. It doesn't work that way. The truth is, heartbreak hurts. It's messy. It's confusing. One day you feel like you're finally okay, and the next day you're crying over a random song in the grocery store because it reminded you of them. That's not weakness, that's being human. But here's the problem: most people fake their healing. They put on a smile for Instagram, they post happy selfies. They tell everyone, I'm fine, I don't care. But deep inside they're still bleeding. And what happens when you hide pain? It doesn't disappear. It grows stronger in the dark. So instead of faking it, feel it. Cry if you have to. Write down your feelings in a journal. Talk to a friend you trust. Go for long walks where your only conversation is with your own thoughts. Let the pain move through you, because when you suppress it, it stays inside like poison. But when you express it, it slowly releases. Think about this: when you get a physical wound, you don't cover it with makeup and pretend it's not there. You clean it, you take care of it, you let it heal. Your heart deserves the same kindness. And here's something interesting. The more you allow yourself to feel, the faster you actually heal. Tears aren't a sign of weakness. They're proof that you had the courage to love deeply. If your heart can break this hard, imagine how beautifully it can love again when the time is right. So don't rush your healing just to look strong. Don't post fake smiles when you really need a hug. Don't bury your emotions under distractions, because emotions you bury alive will come back louder later. Instead, face them, feel them, release them. Because the pain you feel today is actually shaping the strength you'll carry tomorrow. And sometimes, that brokenness you're running from is the very thing that's building you into someone unshakable. Detach to heal. Here's the hardest truth about breakups that most people don't want to hear. You cannot heal while staying connected to the very thing that broke you. But what do most of us do? We act like emotional spies, checking their WhatsApp last seen, scrolling through their Instagram like it's part of our daily routine, rereading old messages at 2 a.m. as if suddenly the words will change and tell a different story. Some even keep the chat archive but never delete it, like a museum of pain that you keep visiting every night. And then we wonder why healing takes so long. The reality is simple. Wounds don't close when you keep scratching them. Detachment isn't about hate, it's about healing. It's not saying, I don't care about you. It's saying, I care about myself more now. Think of it like this: if you want to get healthier, you don't keep eating junk food every night. If you want to stop smoking, you don't keep cigarettes in your pocket. And if you want to move on from someone, You don't keep their pictures as your wallpaper or their number at the top of your chat list. Detachment is like taking emotional medicine. At first, it tastes bitter. You feel restless. You feel tempted to check up on them. You feel like you're losing something. But slowly, that medicine starts working. Day by day, you feel lighter. The silence that once scared you starts to feel peaceful. The distance that once felt like punishment becomes your protection. Here's something interesting when you detach. You give yourself space to breathe again. You start noticing the little things you ignored. Your own dreams, your own goals, your own happiness. You start remembering who you were before you wrapped your identity around someone else. And yes, detachment feels lonely at first. It feels like you've lost a part of yourself. But in reality, you're gaining yourself back. Because every message you don't send, every profile you don't check, every memory you don't replay, is a step closer to your freedom. So understand this. Love doesn't mean holding on when it hurts. Sometimes love means letting go so you can grow. And the moment you choose detachment, you start to realize that losing them didn't destroy you. It just brought you back to yourself. Shift the spotlight back to you. One of the most common things that happens in relationships is this: we pour so much energy into another person that we forget who we are without them. It's like handing over the spotlight of our life and then standing in the shadows, clapping for someone else. We start living for them, adjusting our dreams to fit theirs, sacrificing hobbies we once loved, changing little pieces of ourselves just to keep them happy. And when that person leaves, suddenly the stage feels empty. We look around and think, who am I now? What's left of me? But here's the truth: a breakup is not just about losing someone else. It's about rediscovering yourself. Think about it. Before they came into your life, you had passions. You had dreams. You had things that made you smile for no reason. Maybe you loved painting. Maybe you loved late-night gaming. Maybe you loved writing poetry. Or maybe you just loved the simple freedom of being yourself without judgment. But somewhere along the line, you dimmed your own light to make sure theirs kept shining. A breakup is painful, yes, but it's also a chance, a golden chance, to turn that spotlight back onto you. To ask yourself, what do I love? What excites me? What kind of life do I want to build for myself now? It's almost like life pressed the reset button. And instead of seeing it as an ending, you can see it as an opportunity to rebuild. Imagine how powerful it feels to stand in your own light again. Not as someone's other half, but as a complete, whole, unstoppable version of yourself. Here's the interesting part. When you shift the spotlight back to you, something magical happens. You begin to glow differently. You start working on your health, your career, your mindset, your passions. You stop chasing and start attracting. Suddenly, people notice a strength in you that wasn't visible before. And the irony, sometimes the very person who left you will look back and wonder how you became so unstoppable without them. But by then, it won't even matter, because you'll realize the love you were desperately giving to others was the love you always needed to give yourself first. And when that spotlight shines back on you, you'll see clearly. You were never incomplete without them. You just forgot how complete you already were. Rejection is redirection. One of the ugliest feelings after a breakup is rejection. That voice in your head keeps whispering, they didn't choose you. You weren't enough. If you were better, smarter, prettier, stronger, maybe they would have stayed. And rejection hurts because it makes you question your own value. It feels like someone took a red pen and stamped a giant, no or HY, sign across your heart. But let me tell you a secret: rejection is never really about your worth. It's about alignment. Imagine you're trying to fit a puzzle piece into the wrong place. No matter how hard you push, it won't fit. Does that mean the puzzle piece is broken? No. It just means it doesn't belong there. That's what rejection really is, life's way of saying, this was not your place. This was not your person. But don't worry, there's somewhere better where you'll fit perfectly. Here's the interesting twist: so many people who once cried over rejection later look back and thank God it happened. The job they didn't get, the relationship that ended, the friend who walked away. All of it opened space for something bigger, something better. Think about it. If one door didn't close, the new one wouldn't have space to open. And maybe that rejection saved you from years of pain you couldn't yet see. Maybe it saved you from living small when you were meant for something bigger. Sometimes the person who left you was not your soulmate. They were your lesson. They came to show you what love should not look like, what respect you should never compromise on, what boundaries you must protect next time. And when they leave, the universe redirects you towards someone who will love you in ways you didn't even know you deserved. It's like life is a GPS system. You set your destination, happiness, love, peace, and sometimes the road you're on gets blocked. So the GPS says, rerouting. At first, you're frustrated. Why did this road close? Why do I have to take a different way? But later, you realize the new route was safer, smoother, and maybe even more beautiful than the one you originally wanted. So yes, rejection stings. It bruises your ego. But behind that closed door, there's a quiet whisper from life itself. Trust me, I'm sending you somewhere better. Strength comes from solitude. You know what scares most people after a breakup: being alone. Suddenly, the phone feels too quiet. The bed feels too empty. Even simple things, like eating dinner or watching a movie, feel strange because for so long, you were used to sharing those little moments with someone else. And now, when that person is gone, solitude feels like a punishment. But here's the truth: solitude is not punishment. It's preparation. Think about it. Some of the strongest people in history, the ones who built empires, wrote masterpieces, discovered themselves, they all went through a season of solitude. Why? Because solitude is where you meet yourself again. When you're constantly surrounded by people, noise, and distractions, it's easy to forget who you are at your core. But when you're alone, when the noise quiets down, that's when you hear your own voice clearly again. That's when you realize, I'm not as weak as I thought. I'm not as lost as I felt. I actually have power inside me I never noticed before. The interesting thing about solitude is that it's uncomfortable at first. You'll feel restless. You'll want to run back to old habits, old people, old distractions just to escape the silence. But if you stay with that silence long enough, something magical happens. You discover peace. You start enjoying your own company. You take yourself on coffee dates. You dive into passions you ignored. You start to grow not because someone else is pushing you, but because you're finally pushing yourself. And that's real strength. Because anyone can smile when they have support. Anyone can feel loved when someone is holding their hand. But real power is when you can sit in solitude, hold your own hand, and say, I'm enough. It's in solitude that you stop begging for attention, because you realize your own presence is already valuable. It's in solitude that you stop chasing people, because you realize peace is better than fake company. And it's in solitude that you stop fearing loneliness, because you realize being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. One is emptiness, the other is empowerment. And once you learn how to stand strong in solitude, you become unshakable when you step back into the world. Upgrade, don't downgrade. Here's something funny about breakups. A lot of people think the best way to heal is to immediately jump into another relationship. The logic goes, if someone broke my heart, the only way to fix it is to find someone else quickly who can fill that empty space. And that's where the mistake happens. Because what most people do is not healing, it's escaping. They go for a rebound. They run from pain into the arms of distraction. And instead of upgrading, they actually downgrade. It's like this. Imagine your favorite phone breaks. Instead of repairing yourself first, you rush to buy the cheapest, lowest quality replacement just to stop feeling phoneless. Sure, you have something in your hand now, but it's glitchy, it's weak, it doesn't serve you the way the real thing should. That's what rebound love feels like. A downgrade disguised as a solution. But a breakup is not your signal to downgrade. It's your invitation to upgrade yourself. Upgrade your mind by learning new skills, reading books, listening to wisdom that lifts you higher. Upgrade your body by eating healthier, moving more, pushing yourself in ways you didn't before. Upgrade your spirit by spending time in prayer, meditation, or reflection. Upgrade your lifestyle by chasing goals you once put aside because you were too busy giving all your energy to someone else. Because here's the truth: when you use heartbreak as fuel for self-growth, you transform into a version of yourself that you never thought possible. The pain becomes your gym. The loneliness becomes your classroom. The silence becomes your strength. And the interesting part, once you upgrade, the kind of people you attract also change. Suddenly, those who once broke you can't even reach you, because you're operating at a higher level now. You've outgrown them. So instead of running into the arms of just anyone to feel better, run into the arms of your future self. The stronger, wiser, more powerful version of you that's waiting to be built. Because when you choose to upgrade, heartbreak doesn't destroy you, it refines you. Your value doesn't decrease. One of the most dangerous lies people believe after a breakup is this: if they left me, it must mean I wasn't enough. That thought is poison. It crawls into your mind at night and whispers, you're not attractive enough. You're not smart enough. You're not lovable enough. That's why they walked away. And if you let that thought live in your head, it will eat away at your confidence piece by piece. But let me tell you the truth. Your value does not decrease just because someone failed to recognize it. Think about a diamond. If someone throws it away, does the diamond lose its worth? No, it's still rare, still precious, still valuable. The person who threw it away just didn't know how to handle it. The same goes for you. Someone's inability to see your worth doesn't make you worthless. It just exposes their blindness. Here's something interesting. Sometimes people walk away not because you weren't enough, but because you were too much for the small version of themselves. Too much love, too much loyalty, too much depth, and they weren't ready to handle that. So instead of appreciating it, they left it. But that doesn't mean you have to shrink. It means you stay true to who you are until the right person comes along who says, finally, I've found someone who loves the way I've always prayed for. And let's be honest, your value isn't tied to whether someone texts you back, or chooses to stay, or promises forever. Your value is already there, in your kindness, your courage, your resilience, your heart. The breakup didn't take that away from you. It only gave you a chance to see it more clearly. The real challenge is this: don't let heartbreak trick you into believing lies about yourself. Don't let someone's rejection make you forget your own reflection. Look in the mirror and remind yourself, I was valuable before them. I'm valuable without them, and I'll be valuable long after them. Because the truth is, the person who left didn't lower your worth. They just lowered their access to it. And one day, someone will see you not as too much or not enough, but as exactly right. See the bigger picture. When heartbreak hits, the first thought in your mind is usually, this is it. My world is over. Nothing good can come after this. And honestly, it feels that way, doesn't it? The nights are heavier, the mornings feel pointless, and even simple things, like hearing your favorite song or walking past a place you used to go together, feel like little knives cutting your heart all over again. In that moment, it's almost impossible to believe there's anything beyond the pain. But here's the thing: what you're going through right now is just a chapter, not the whole book. Think about a movie you've watched. In the middle, the hero always faces heartbreak, failure, betrayal. There's always that dark part where it feels like nothing will work out. If you paused the movie right there, you'd think the story was ruined. But when you keep watching, you realize that moment was necessary for the transformation, for the growth, for the victory that comes later. Life works the same way. The breakup you see as the end might actually be the turning point. Maybe it's pushing you toward new goals, new passions, new people who will love you better than you thought possible. Maybe it's teaching you lessons you couldn't have learned any other way. Maybe it's protecting you from a future that would have hurt even more. Here's something interesting: years from now, you'll look back at this exact pain and smile. Not because it didn't hurt, but because it shaped you. Because you'll realize that if this heartbreak didn't happen, you would have never discovered parts of yourself that only pain could unlock. Sometimes we're so focused on the piece of the puzzle that's missing, we forget that the puzzle isn't finished yet. What looks like loss today could be the exact space where something beautiful is meant to fit tomorrow. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what bigger picture is life painting through this? What is this preparing me for? Because trust me, heartbreak isn't the final page. It's just the plot twist before something greater is revealed. So if you're sitting here with a heavy heart, wondering if you'll ever heal, let me remind you of something important. Your story doesn't end with a breakup. This is just a chapter, not the whole book. And the book of your life still has so many pages waiting to be written. Pages of strength, pages of growth, pages of love that will be deeper and more genuine than anything you've known before. One day, you'll look back at this heartbreak, and it won't make you cry anymore. It'll make you smile, because you'll see how far you've come. You'll realize that this pain wasn't your downfall, it was your rebirth. And maybe, just maybe, this broken heart isn't a sign of your weakness. It's proof of your capacity to love, to feel, and to rise. Because the truth is, when life breaks you, it's not trying to end you. It's trying to remake you into someone stronger, wiser, and unstoppable. So don't see this heartbreak as the end. See it as the beginning of the strongest version of you, the version you were always meant to become.